Well, I have with me today Zachary Eric Federbush. He was born in 1989. He received his MA in painting from Savannah College of Art and Design in Savannah, Georgia, in spring of 2017. Federbush also received the BFA in Studio Art from Manhattan College in Purchase, New York, in the spring of 2012. He has been in 2 solo shows at Kenene Hackett Art Center in Poughkeepsie, New York, and 2 solo shows around Savannah, Georgia. He additionally has been at a few group art exhibitions around the New York and Georgia areas. Federbush's work is consistently changing, though he does stick to his love of unique characters, vibrant use of colors, the usage of words, and the fascination of experimenting by using acrylics, spray paints, and other mediums to understand the world around him. Federbush is currently working and living in New York City.
Yeah, that's about it.
Zach, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for helping the setup. Sorry. Good. So, should we start questioning?
We can keep it casual. So, I wanted to ask you. You had told me earlier that you have taken up the discipline of making like at least one drawing or a series of drawings every single day. Since you said what, 2018?
January 1st, 2018. So far, it's been 1,843 days today.
Wow. Okay, now so talk to me about this. I'm actually kind of curious about it. I had a friend I was talking to about this at an earlier date, and she was saying how she and her friend had committed to doing one drawing a day, I think for a year. Just to kind of get into the habit of drawing and sort of like practicing generating imagery and things like that. And of course, sort of familiarizing oneself within that language of drawing. What has that been like for you?
In the beginning it was fun, but now it's getting difficult. No, because I always change, it's a different person, I draw not only people and friends, I draw like places I go, the museums I see and everything, and every month I have to change the material. Like this month is regular markers, but next is just using highlights. And then, pastels the next month, nothing but pink, pencil, because, and I always have to like use what you have on hand. It keeps me up and doing it. Plus it helps me figure out to make, like as I read in the bio, unique characters. So sometimes I use it, but it's been fun, honestly. Like I honestly thought this because someone said once to stop painting characters for a year, but I couldn't stop the habit, so I decided just to draw them. I'm now repainting characters again, but I just don't know how to stop this now.
So you're this practice that you started back in January of 2018, this is something that has actually become an integral part of your artistic process and sort of like finding a way to generate like different characters and things that sort of make their way into the work, like into your paintings.
Yeah, and not just for the character. Sorry, my light is like light sensitive here. Can you still see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Hold on. There we go. If you don't move every 20 minutes, it turns off. No.
Oh, you've got those lights that are up in the ceiling, right? That you can get them from Lowe's. They're like motion sensitive. I got you. Yeah. I've got that in my garage. Yeah, cool.
It's annoying sometimes. No, but it helps. So, like not just with the character, but from these other like big paintings behind me, like text and stuff. Like it's like for me, it's like a little seed. Like I plant and then it can grow into something. Could be into like a pumpkin or a sunflower. I mean, I already know what the seed would be, but for this is like think of like the magical bean from like Jack and the Beanstalk kind of thing. Maybe it's not a giant beanstalk. Maybe this drawing will help me solve a problem I had with a painting like recently. Like a few drawings actually helped me finish one of my previous paintings, like a aha moment. that makes sense.
It does make sense. And so that was something that was like totally unanticipated. Like you weren't expecting to have that moment. You just were simply adhering to this discipline that you started back in 2018. Now all of a sudden it's creating all these inroads to like idea generation, to solving problems, to finding ways to move forward in your work. It's even like an integral part in assisting in the evolution of the work itself.
Yes, and
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's incredible. I think that's actually, I think that's a brilliant idea. I mean, and it makes a lot of sense. And it makes me wonder, why the hell am I not doing that? You know what I mean? That's actually it's a really wonderful thing.
To each their own. I mean, like, that's how I stay creative. I mean, you probably your process is like completely different than my process. And then I paint with another friend in my studio. Shout out to Judy Christian. Hey, Judy. No, who work is like totally similar but different, and her process is like, because I believe, like, for artists, like, we each have our own way to make something, and it helps springboard into something bigger. But the way we go about it is different. Like, if there's like a giant rock in the road, you can go either one way, another way, over it, or just blow it up.
Yeah, sure, certainly. Certainly. Well, it's interesting because drawing is a way to kind of maybe it seems like it's a way that you can enter into an unknown territory, like an unknown space, and begin to feel around and grasp for things, in a sense. And like what you come up with is this unanticipated, unexpected imagery that can be incredibly informative. Which is, I mean, and a lot of artists have certainly done that, have taken to that practice.
Exactly. There was I forget his name, but he rode the subways around it. This is like in the 70s or something. He took two pencils, put them down on the subway, and just let them move around. I forget who it was, but that's like someone famous. Not the Cooney, but he was friends. Anyways,
he was friends with this person.
It was something. It was like, I know. An art history professor told me about it. Like, this one famous artist just took two, like, literally pencils or pens and put it on paper, and as he went to go visit his friend, he would just like live the tide, and that's how he created his work.
Interesting. That's really interesting.
No, but I'm very fascinated about people's creativity, because like, we're all creative. Like, I have a friend that's data analyst, not the greatest artist. He once actually painted me a stick figure as a gift. But his way of creating his way is, in a way, beautiful. And I don't know, like when you said like a springboard, for me it's interesting because I have a little bit of issues with words. Like, once you get to know me, you can understand me. But in the beginning, like when I meet people, it's very hard for me to communicate my thoughts and feelings. So that's why it takes me a while. This creative process helps a lot, and also why I'm fascinated with words, because what you mean sometimes is literally what you mean, and sometimes words hold importance. Words literally shape worlds sometimes, like politically and economic.
Yeah. No, that's certainly the case. What is your relationship to words?
Difficult. Well, when I was younger, it was difficult. I had a speech problem, honestly, when I was growing.
I did too, actually. But
really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Did you have to do like speech therapy as well?
Have you seen the King's Speech?
Yes. Good
I had
movie.
it's a great movie, right? I had a really bad stuttering problem. And so sometimes I still find myself trying to hurdle a word or sort of get around it or like get over a word. And I get caught with like either like a consonant, like the sound of a consonant or a vowel, or moving into a vowel or like through it. Like sometimes I get stuck on it and like it's difficult for me to like allow it to sort of come out, right? So actually I found in high school by accident, and that's part of why I love the King's speech so much, is because it was through singing that the king realized he actually didn't have like, it wasn't that he couldn't, he felt like there was nothing he could do to separate himself from this affliction. For him, it was like this affliction, right? Particularly because of his position, right? And so, which depended entirely upon speech. Um, and so through singing, he found that he actually could, he could find a way to express himself through or in spite of this this difficulty, right?
Right.
This affliction, and so he would approach a word and begin to almost sing the word, and that's how he was able to move into it. And so I've always loved accents. I've loved to do accents. I just love I love
I love the accents too.
Yeah, right. Okay,
Yeah.
so like how we can say one word in so many different sounds, right?
Yeah.
And whenever I do accents, I never stutter ever, and I never have problems when I stutter. I mean, when I do accents, I don't have any issue with vocabulary or like finding the word that I need to sort of like fill in the gap with with this certain thought. Like it's always there. It's always within reach. And so I noticed that whenever I did accents, I didn't stutter, and I always had the words I needed. When I sang, I never stuttered. And so I began thinking about sound as form, and I began imagining, visualizing my mouth moving around the form of the word, and and being present in the fullness of the sound of that word, right? Uh, which is interesting because when I did accents, that's what I would do. I would focus on, in particular, I would focus on the sound, the quality of sound, right? Um,
Right.
Not
I
necessarily the word, but the actual sound that composed it.
like the first one I'm thinking of is like book or like water. Because in different places they say like wata or like the how you pronounce it kind of thing.
Sure,
Right?
sure, yeah, yeah, definitely,
Oh,
yeah.
by the
Or
way,
like,
how so for you? I'll get better with the colors in it.
that was a very flattering drawing. Thank you, man.
um,
Um,
what kind of pants are you wearing, by the way? This is a very weird top.
I'm wearing black denim jeans
Excellent.
right now.
Um,
Yeah.
that's purple, right?
What if I was like, hey, sorry, Zach, I'm not wearing any pants. Wouldn't that be weird? Um,
I mean, it's a Zoom call. Who has it now? I mean,
but just to prove it. So, all right.
I see. Tell you what, I'm going to do the same thing.
Black denim.
So we all know we're wearing pants.
Right.
Yeah. No. Yeah. When I was younger, I got bullied for saying like because my speech all blurred really together when I talked. It was like
like mumbling, like a lot of mumbling.
a lot of mumbling, very soft jaw, and so I would try to write, but my vocabulary as young, when you're young, you're not that good. So I try to use like for my work also. I try to use simple words because people, like, used to like powerful, simple words. Because apothecary, no one bats an eye, but like come here now, like in your emphasis on now, like it has some meaning.
Mm.
Yeah, and like I said, it made me lonely, which ties into my character love because I still have friends growing up, but in a way I still like so back I was born in the city, but when I was 3, my parents moved to the middle of Connecticut till my whole childhood till high school. They're still there, but and so I like a few friends. I was lonely, so
Sure.
when you're a kid, you make up the imaginary friends.
Yeah,
So
I did. Sure, I did the same thing.
Tons.
Yeah.
For me, I literally had to make my own friends up.
Yeah.
I mean, I have friends now in the city and everywhere else in the world now. Real friends. I mean,
Yeah.
real people. But yeah, I just don't stop. Like, this is one of them right here.
What? So what is that friend's name there? That character.
I call him. He just Bear. I have others that are just different names, but it's also because it was also like another part of me because I had an ex girlfriend who used to call me Bear because when we first went out, she said I reminded her of Winnie the Pooh. But
very philosophical, huh?
Cuddly and always wanting food. Really, no, no, but like in that way, and that's why I haven't stopped making characters in a way. Like I always been painting, but now like I use it like based off like nicknames, mythology, everyday life, a random thought, and it just grew. And like I said, the colors, like, and everything has to be very colorful for me because I've always been fascinated with more colors in a way.
So, but fascinated by colors that are like higher in saturation.
Yeah, like bright and also just like a multitude, like not like one single shade. That's like if a rainbow was puking.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think? Because the reason why I ask is because just how you were saying before that, like, we're all creative in our own way, and we have different processes, that inform the work. Your relationship to color, I would say, is a really important aspect of that.
It is. I think it's because like bright colors. Like I reach for bright colors. Like when you're a kid or like young, or anyone actually, you always reach for the shinier things, like the more colorful things, because you're always curious what it is. I think for me, like the more color it is, the more fascinating people will find, and the more it could catch somebody's eye. And I think there's a part of our brains that are so primitive to that. I mean, we're highly evolved, but in the end of the day, we still have some basic and like things that we are like adapt to. Like we're interested in you're interested in sound, or interested in colors. And, sorry, rambling on. That's a problem with me.
It's okay. No, it's fine. It's like, it's a way to work through a thought. That's important, right? I mean, I can't tell you, Zach, like, and through the course of these conversations, how many times I've like on the spot been like, oh, okay, so this is how I can kind of connect the dots here. And it's interesting because it really does take it. I mean, it really does take community. I feel like interacting with one another to help connect those dots, to help sort of like find one's place in that sort of dizzying practice of contemplation, of thought, of like trying to make sense of things that seem to be that seemed to be like totally chaotic, you know.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a little like surrounding the chaos. There's always little ball of order. Like, what, where do you live, by the way, out of curiosity?
I live in Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, perfect. I've been to Charleston. Wonderful state, but it's chaotic there too. If you go out downtown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you stand in the middle of the street.
It's
like,
a lot of stimulation down there.
Exactly. But if you focus on the one thing that's there, like something, like a spot or person or anything, and everything tunes out, and you find that little ball of order in the chaos. You signal it out.
It's true. I mean, it feels like something akin to chaos because the order isn't necessarily apparent, and it takes, I think, some time to be in the midst of it, where maybe out of whatever type of necessity that's present in us, which sort of dictates or initiates the working of finding things that relate to other things in an orderly way.
Exactly.
And we immediately begin to create these like systems of how we can like organize the experience or set of experiences so that we can sort of understand our place in relationship to them.
Exactly, and for everything. By the way, random question. Can you lift your arm for a second? I just want to see how long your sleeve is. Okay, your short sleeve.
Yeah, a little too short. A little too short, perhaps.
No, I thought it was long, so I was kind of getting.
Yeah, it would be nicer in a sense if it was longer. I have the curse of like getting the perfect T-shirt at the store, and then once I put it through like the wash cycle and it dries, it's like too small. Like, it's just too small.
Every time that happened, I would have like at least $100. It happens every time.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if we can curse or not, so I'm not going to try. I'm trying not to.
It's okay. It's okay, man. Just these videos I have not made for children, so it's okay.
How many have you made out of right now since me? Like I said, my number is 180, like 1,043. So what number is this for your lecture, your talk?
Oh, so this is something I started. Yeah. Actually, my first talk was with Marcus Dunn. That was in January 3rd.
Really? He was the first?
He was my first. Yeah, he was my first. My first talk. Yeah. He was great. Like he was.
Good for you, Dunn.
No, he was great. Yeah, he was really good.
He's a wonderful guy.
Yeah,
living guy. When we were in college, when we were studying painting together in SCAD, like I said, we lived together. Some nights I had a Nintendo 64, the old system. He had some games, I had some games, so we hooked up to an old, like a TV, getting some wires, and some nights we would just go back to our apartment and just play Nintendo 64 games. Have some like pancakes and hot dogs and just play and eat all the time. And just
man,
talk about
that sounds like blissful indulgence, man. I used to. There was a time before kids. I used to do stuff like that. A time,
You want to hear something more interesting? We literally lived right across the street from our main building where we painted and our studio. Like literally, like at midnight, we would just like call them night. Hey Zach, are you coming? You want to go home? Yeah, sure, Marcus. Let's go. Walk the hall. At home, like 5-minute walk, and we were there back home.
Wow,
we literally lived there.
That's a lovely convenience to have that accessibility. That's good.
I miss that. Not just that, but when I was at SCAD, I'm not trying to drop names. This is going to be the only story about it. I had an okay time. I questioned the professors all the time. That's why I have an MA. I had some. That's why I tried to always constantly change, because I see a lot of artists that do the same thing over the decades, and they hardly ever change. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
I
I do.
try to branch out to be more than just what I used to say, a one-trick pony. Because I want to be, if I wanted to do my work, I just want to be remembered to do been a lot of things and just known for one thing. But the thing I loved about the SCAD, especially my department, was the other painters, the other students, because we would just walk into each other's studios all the time to ask how we were, what they were working on, we get a drink, like.
Sure.
And I miss that. And now I'm in a studio. Like, I love my studio mate, but it's like it was a whole community of shared ideas. You can just go back and forth, and it was such an easier time. It's harder these days.
It is hard. It's hard to make it kind of like on your own. And that's actually, I don't know if you've heard of the collective perceptual painters or not, but that's something that happened, that developed out of a response for a need to continue that type of interaction with other painters. Because I experienced the same thing that you did, Zach, in graduate school, and upon graduating, felt like, well, not just me, but a lot of the friends that I had formed in grad school felt that we needed to continue having these dialogues and having these interactions, and it has been very fruitful for everybody involved.
Exactly, and it's also like throwing more seeds to your creativity, because someone can just say something to you and it'll light another path.
Sure.
But, three things. One, are you left-handed or right-handed? And two, what item do you like? Because I usually give people an item if they're real people. Like, what symbolizes you?
I'm right-handed.
Right. No, I had to make sure which way it was. You're right-handed, yeah.
But I don't know what I would be holding at this point. Let me think about it, and I'll come back to it.
Take your time. But back to the third one was so since Marcus, how many have you done?
I believe you are my 14th or 15th talk.
Woohoo! No, I actually do. I'm happy about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been great, and it's helped me too. It's because you guys choose the topic of discussion, and so it's been really, really interesting to engage in these dialogues, and to like really, kind of ping pong back and forth the exchange of ideas. It's been wonderful. Yeah, it's been really great. Plus, it affords me that.
By the way,
what's that?
I've been looking at your work, and I looked on your Instagram. I love your color palette. How you do like the landscapes. Well, though to be fair, my favorite color is green. So
is that right? Your favorite color is green?
Yeah.
That's actually one of mine too. Coincidentally, yeah. Do you is your green the one that you kind of are drawn to? Is it like a lighter, brighter green, or like is it like a darker, deeper green? Like how would you describe it?
Like a forest pine green, honestly. It's the darker green. Mostly because, like, growing up, I was surrounded by grass, like grass, trees, anything. So that kind of darker kind of green remind me of home.
Yeah, I like that. My green is like there's a color down here. It's culturally influenced and indicative of Charleston.
Really?
And it's a green that is so dark that it reads as black, but it is in fact green. And I've been very attracted to that color.
I gotta look that up after this.
Yeah.
I might use it as one of my new paintings. Right now I'm in a series. Hold on. Right behind me is these things I've done back in college, like and now I just started like back in 2020 again called these random thoughts. But I've been now more narrow-minded of like because when I first did the series, I did like anything I thought of would like literally go onto the page, which how I fell in love with spray paint and ink and marker. I've always been an acrylic. I've actually started painting in 2012 because of a professor told me to, try this instead of using the pencils. But I've been focusing on this series and it's almost done. The one behind me is considered happiness. Is like every embodiment of happiness is on this painting. Like the main symbol is the sunflower, which is happiness, and also my favorite flower. But also we got two goldfishes, which is Buddhism, serotonin, which is the chemical. So I've been doing these like new, like narrow things. Right now I just finished about reality, which was hard. And the next one is going to be humanity, the last one. I also did like others like ego, guilt. I've been liking it, but like I said, a time for a change after this series is ended. Also, I just wanted to show quickly this to viewers. Since my SCAD days, this is my palette.
That is quite an object. Wow.
Yes, heavy as hell.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. That's great. I'm curious. So the use of words have become very important to you because of your struggle with them, right? And so out of that struggle, there was this relationship with words that sort of formed as a natural result of that struggle, and now you use those words in your work. Now, in the usage of those words, how do you come to rely on the function of words compared to the function of imagery?
I have to make sure it's the right way of saying it. Like each word has to have an important, even like the words and, but, like those, even though they're like, add on or useless words, they still have meaning. Like, what's your favorite song?
Well, I just listened, I was just listening to, Radiohead a little while ago. What is it? Exit music for a film.
Wait, does that have lyrics in it?
I think so.
I'm getting to a point to this. So for me, I did a series on like lyrics, which I did like layers on top of layers of like certain sections. Because if you listen to certain songs, like when you're listening to songs, sometimes the words have a deeper meaning to it. Like there's a story behind it. Not like some of the new songs. I don't like certain new songs, but like some of the old things. And they write the lyrics to those songs. It's important to them. They come across. They have a meaning to it. But so it's the same way. Like I don't write songs. I'm not musically gifted at all. I can't sing for my life. No, but I think to choose your words correctly could have an impact, and that's what I need to, because saying something can affect something negatively or positively, but also saying the right word over and over and over again can also have an effect. My favorite English word is listen, just on its own. I think that's one of the most powerful words out there. Just listen. And there's other powerful words. What word do you think is powerful?
I think no is very powerful.
No is powerful. It's like the most common word that like translates to any languages.
Mm-hmm. And yes, I would say is as powerful, because it's the acceptance or refusal of something. And if the word is said with intention, and attention to the context, in a sense that what is being said is like very sincere, then I think there's a real sense of power, uh, inherent in the expression of that word, or in either of those words. Because it's really it's an exercising of the will.
I agree, because and it's in a way it's just it's the most simplest basic decision making. Yes or no. Damn.
And that's I was just gonna say, like, that's, and you think about, I mean, isn't that what we do, like, with every decision that is made in the formation of the painting? I mean, and that's the thing too, where it's like there are times.
I was gonna steal your idea for painting later on. Like Picasso said, "Great art is steal."
Right.
No, but yeah, it's every decision. Like sometimes, like I used to be very impulsive when I used to do the random thought series, like very. But this new version of them, I had to really sit down, think, look up, and everything. And every time I had like, should I put it up now or not? Should I make it this color or not? Should I, and with everything, I think so. You're right. It's, every decision is like that, especially with the painting, because one brush stroke can ruin the whole work. You decide to do it.
But what I'm most surprised by is when that decision is being made almost before. Well, yeah, that decision is being made before I'm aware of it. Like when I'm painting.
I have the same thought exactly.
Yeah.
No, I like is it because are we doing it automatically? Like we going with our gut and feeling, or do we just know? And I think that's scary sometimes when you really think about it. Like, and also makes you second guess everything afterwards for a while, and then just it goes back, and then it's like thinking about death. You know what's going to happen. It scares the shit out of you, but you accept it like that, and you just keep going.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it takes
really dark.
Well, no, I mean, I think it takes a lot of courage. No, it's fine. It's fine, man. I mean, I think it takes a lot of courage to make these decisions at times. It depends on what position we're taking with the work. If it's certainly, but yeah, I mean, these are not decisions that we arrive at lightly, right? Like these are right.
Plus, with us or paintings, like whatever we make, we can't go back.
Right.
I mean, we can cover it up, but then it could look worse. You know what I mean?
It could. Yeah. Or it might be that. It might be something that is, evolutionary in the sense that what I thought needed to be wasn't really what the painted needed to begin with, and what, in order for me to arrive at what the painting needs, I have to sort of go through a few iterations in order to,
I get what you're saying. I'm just getting some markers. I still haven't drawn your hands because I'm still waiting for your thing, but I'm just trying to draw the outline. I'm a very heavy believer of like black outline on everything. Mostly with my images, and sometimes with words, I will like heavily outline it in like a certain color, mostly in black to pop it out.
Nice.
Because like I use too many colors so much, like a bombardment, it's like melts into each other so I need that separation. But I think
I thought of the object by chance. by the way. Yeah, a candle that is lit, just one candle.
Does it have a base? No base?
Yeah, it can have a little base.
All right. So I don't want to do like burn your hand in the drawing because then people will wonder. Like,
Actually, yeah. I mean, it's. I think getting getting burned by the wax is part of it. That's just part of it.
I like candles.
What's that?
No, I was just saying I like candles. Not the smelling ones, like like the classic ones, like the ones just
like beeswax or something.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I think my grandmother had this weird one that would melt back into the same can, like it would fire and then it would cup itself on the bottom to become a new candle again.
Oh,
I wonder what ever happened to that.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's something.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
No, candles because it's a flicker of light in the darkness.
It is, and it can be extinguished very easily.
It's the order. It's the chaos. Yeah, we came back full circle.
Hey,
exactly, but we came back full circle.
There you go.
But I like. No, I'm still thinking about what you said about the yes and no, though. And like impulsively, we create sometimes. We just go out of the path. Like we get the idea, we just run through it. But then, eventually we catch ourselves, or we come to a pass that we need to figure out that decision again. We'll go yes or no, like kind of thing. I mean, that's simple. And I gotta say, I have really never thought about that until now. That's gonna keep me up more at night. I think that's gonna.
I don't think I really thought about it either, to be honest with you, because nobody has ever asked me that question before. So that was a really that was a very important question. I mean, that's an important question for anyone to really consider. Like, what for them is an important word, and then to explore that, and I think that is like very important.
Yes. By the way, my drawings are not. I learned how to draw like academically and everything, but for the life of me, I am not great with it. Like, I'm good with like painting real people and drawing them if it takes the time, but for quickness, it turns out to be more cartoonish, like how my paintings are.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
I'm just giving the heads up on that.
That actually, I drew a lot as a child, and that's what kind of got me into. I mean, that's really inevitably what led me into something that was more sort of fine art related. I would say maybe was illustration. I loved comics. I collected them.
What's your favorite?
I preserved them.
What's your favorite comic?
Oh man. Well, I would have to say, by sentimental attachment, it was when Todd McFarlane still worked for Marvel, and he did this whole Spider-Man series. That was just phenomenal. Like, it was dark. It was really, really dark, and you just sort of saw everything kind of spin out. And then, of course,
he ran it during the '90s, right? Like late '90s. Yeah,
that's right.
I remember those. That was good. That was a great style.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
no, he transformed. I mean, he really transformed stylistically, like comic book illustration.
He did
in his day, because he introduced something that was not being done in Western illustration. It just was not being done. And then he had a lot of people after him kind of pick that up and run with it as best they could, but still wasn't.
Nothing as best as him. Mm-hmm. He's like the James Baxter in comic book. James Baxter is an animator who worked on. I met him too during a talk. Nice guy. He worked on like Belle from Sleeping Beauty, a few other like Disney things, but he's draws so smoothly. Like it's like like before computers, everything is like he draws so
Yeah.
smooth. So like, and I love Tom McFarlane's work. I still love Spawn. Clown is still one of my
Yes,
favorite villains.
Spawn was great. Spawn was great. I
But
also really
what
liked.
else
I
did he
liked.
work on?
Do you remember Sam Keith?
What the work did he work on? Like
Oh man.
I
Okay,
met
so
him with art, like what series
Sam
people were.
Sam Keith Sam Keith worked with Todd McFarlane and at Marvel. Sam Keith drew Wolverine, and but they both left together when they went to Image, and when they started Image. I think they actually started Image. Todd McFarlane had Spawn. Sam Keith drew the Max.
I love the mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Max.
Totally like Jim Carrey. God damn it, Jim Carrey's mask is different than the comic book mask because the comic book mask is more violent and they kill off Stanley in like the first few issues.
Well. It's not the mask. I wasn't referring to the mask. I was referring to the Max. Like it's
Max.
MAXX. I think is what I think
I've heard of it. I've never read it, but I know
it's so strange. It was so strange and dark and peculiar. Yeah. I think actually HBO did a series on it back in like the early 2000s or the 90s or something like that. Yeah, before they did Spawn.
HBO. That's a whole different stuff. I love the comic, but my favorite are the graphic novels. Those that are like individually published, like they have the one-stop stories. Like I gotta be honest, I am a nerd. I go to New York Comic Con like almost every year since 2017, and then 1 year 2013 before I went to Scott. Anyways, the point of the story is like I go to Artist Alley. I go and get like graphic novels people publishing made because it's their own stories, their own art, and it's like their own uniqueness. Like no brands behind it. And I think that's in a way created. It's like their own little world they made for each other, like themselves, giving it out there. And sometimes I get artwork that is beautifully told. Sometimes I find out the work in the story is not the greatest thing I've ever read.
Sure.
But that's like a surprise in a way. Because, you want to, like Spider-Man is great. Spawn is great. Like, but, sometimes you'll find something that's a shot in the dark and you'll fall in love and then you'll love to see what else this artist works on. I almost became a graphic novel. I almost became an animator too, but when I was an undergrad, computers were not a big thing, so no professor knew how to like learn how to computers. So animation was out, and I love and the graphic. There was no real like comic book artist or graphic thing, like design or anything for my undergrad. So when I studio art, I was just always drawing, and then my senior year, like I said, my professor told me pick up a paintbrush and see how it goes, and I haven't looked back since. Still, one of my oldest.
Great.
Yeah. Still, I can tell you right now, my oldest and character is a giant 8-foot by 4-foot painting I nicknamed Hyde. He's my biggest and oldest character because Hyde, Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh yeah, gotcha. Nice.
So but that's I tend to ramble, and eventually things connect to each other. I go back and forth. But that's why my nickname on my Instagram handle is ZMadArtist, because it's Zach, and I'm an artist, and some people consider me a little bit. But
I think we're all there, man. We're all little.
Yeah. I mean, I would have picked my actual name, but when Instagram came out, people were worried that I'd get the whole name and then kind of regretted it. But it is what it is. I stick to it now. Well, but I love actually a good comic book is Sandman. The series.
I don't know that one. Does that have to do with time? or something like
No,
that?
it's
Or
about a dream. Netflix did a series on it recently, which
okay.
took a while, but the original comic is great because every time they do the different stories, the illustrator change each time. The artwork changes. You can tell who's who in the characters, but every time they write a Sandman, the art changes.
I like that.
Actually,
Yeah, it's kind of like
you
Dreams,
ever
isn't it?
Ren and Stimpy?
Yeah, Nickelodeon. Yeah, the whole series. Sure.
Yeah, I met the guy who was co-creator, Bob Camp. Nice guy.
Wow.
Wonderful. But the rumor, and he slightly confirmed it, was like they never do, like they had ideas, but they never had really like concrete character designs. That's why if you watch the series, it looks slightly different each time. You know, like they're similar, but there's something off from panel to panel to panel to panel because you never wanted to be consistent.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
It's like relating to so there's a familiarity inherent in the characterization of that that form, but then it's like to be able to relate to it in a way that is different every time. So there are similarities present and differences present, and I think that's really kind of isn't that what we try to do as painters, in relating to our work and the motif, and it's not for the sake of it, but it's almost like it's just it's a natural result of us wanting to sort of pursue similar things like beauty, or the things that we consider to be beautiful and stuff like that, but to go deeper with it, to reach a deeper level of meaning or understanding, and then of course that requires a different level of expression.
It does, but it also it's expressive, but then also like a different point of view, like you're painting back there, the one with the two buildings and then the one behind it, like you painted that, but say someone was right next to you, like literally in the same spot, same day, same time, and everything. His perspective on that would be totally different. Creativity. You have the same painting, just in the same spot, the same time, the same everything, just lightly.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's divergence. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, absolutely. And in fact, I actually did that with that painting. I took my daughter with me.
Really?
Yeah. So, because she's artistically inclined, and so we went out together. And I think it was my second or third session with that painting, but she was going with me for her first session, and what she did was like so different than what I was after, but I liked hers better than mine. Like it was so good.
How old was she when? How old?
So she's 15 now, and this I think I started that painting a year ago, so she was 14.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. That painting is not done, by the way. It's been a real pain in my.
It's okay. Like you said, children's not going to watch it. You can say ass. See, I said it's for you.
But yeah, it's been it's been something. I have a lot of paintings. I have a lot of paintings like that. They're just like they get to a certain point, and it's like all the gears just stop.
Well, I like that. Because you painted in your own way with your own set of rules, and she painted in her way in her own rules. And in a way, as artists, we have our own rules we follow. Like, and it's kind of interesting. Like you said, the gears thing, like whoa, kind of thing. Because you said like you probably would never paint the style of your daughter. You still loved it more than what you've been done. And you could paint the way you did for your daughter, but that would break your own. Let's just call them art rules in a way. Like you got art rules, I got art rules. Like for when we create something.
Yeah, well, we have systems.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
we construct. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Just follow them, and like leading to a point, like we blindly sometimes just follow it.
mm-hmm.
Like still again.
Yeah. Well, see, but that's the thing too, where, and that's kind of where I'm right now in my work, is I'm in the process of kind of really sort of tearing down all my systems, which creates a lot of frenzied activity.
Keeps you up at night. Keeps you up at night sometimes.
No, it doesn't keep me up at night, but it tortures me throughout the day.
That makes one.
No, I do. Look, I mean, I think if I didn't have children and like a family and stuff, it would keep me up at night. But like, I have things that require so much attention, in other areas of my life, that I can. It actually affords me the luxury of being able to sort of put something like this on the back burner. But during the day, it's like constantly taunting me. It's like constantly gnawing at me.
I get exactly what you mean. Like when I have the Reiki idea, sometimes I forget to write. I said I gotta go to the studio and do it. I gotta do it to the studio and do it, because it'll like the little bird on the mountain. There's a whole poem about that, or a saying, like about wherever. I forget how the saying goes, but it's like I get it. Like it gnaws at you a little bit in the back. Like you'll just be partying with friends, having a nice dinner with the family, watching a movie, and it just will always bother you like a little tot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you have to deal with it. Like it needs to be. These are things that need to be addressed. But like when the gears are turning, all of a sudden they stop. It actually shows me that the painting, for it to move ahead, it requires something different than what it did to start, than what it did to originate, and so like that's why they just stop, and that requires an immense amount of consideration. Like I have to. Like I can't just force things to happen, because then it's not like
it is what it is. Because if you have to let it be the way it is, because if you force anything, especially people, it's not gonna end pretty.
Sure, that's right. That's right. So I'm left like, so I'm kind of like left in this place where things really need to change. Things need to change, and the no's and the yeses, they have to be applied to a new set of considerations. But I first have to understand what those considerations are, and that's kind of like where I am right now, in that process.
Quick question, by the way. Your eyes are brown, right? I know your hair is brown. Just making sure, because it's like slightly dark.
Yeah, my eyes are dark. Yeah, they're dark, but they're actually hazel green. But they're very dark. Yeah.
Okay. I'll just make them really light brown because it's hazel. But
sure. Totally
what colors are your shoes, by the way? I forgot to ask that too.
They're like a what is it called? I'll just hold it up so you can see. It's like a.
Oh, that's perfect. I mean, shoes design and everything. I hate. You ever heard of Hatfield? Or he's the guy who made the Jordans, the original.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Cool. Great guy. Really went to thousands and thousands and thousands of ideas before he made the first ones.
Oh wow.
I think he stopped making them. I think afterwards he just stopped making them and then let somebody else take over after the fifth one or something. But he was the first guy who made Jordan, like the Air Jordan.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Nice guy. The documentary, he seems a little nutty though.
Well, I think it takes nuttiness, man. It takes nuttiness, I think, to do what we do on some level. To keep at it. Well, hey Zach, I have to get going. Unfortunately, man, I've got some things to get ready for it. But
and hold on, two things. One, I'm going to take a quick photo of you, and two, I will send this to you when I'm done.
Oh,
So
great, man. Great.
it'll be
Yeah,
done in the
you have
next.
my email, so
Yes, and I have
perfect.
your email, and I'll send it to everything. Yeah, I'll send it to you afterwards. But it was great,
Okay.
and I wish we could talk more.
I know. Well, this happens
Um,
often in conversations where it's like, you feel like you could just keep on going, and we certainly could.
we could,
But
but I understand. Do you mind if we just say like one or two things quickly? Because I didn't want to end on the happy thing.
go ahead.
I like to, just end it with, they thank you for this, and I honestly was nervous. I gotta be honest, I was nervous this morning, like really nervous about this.
Yeah.
No, but this opened up a lot, and I think because I've been stuck with my art for a little bit since the beginning of this year, and I think
Yeah.
this helped me now come to terms with my work and how to finish a new painting. So, thank you, Brian.
Oh, Zach, it's my pleasure. And no, I mean it goes both ways, man. Because talking with you today on a number of different levels has really given me something to consider in a serious way that I feel like will certainly help me move forward with the work, and sort of understanding those, like what these different considerations need to be for the paintings, and will help me to establish really, in a sense, what to say yes and no to, in at least in a broad way as a starting point, which would give me some direction. And I thank you for that.
Okay. I thank you for the yes and no thing too, because like I really never thought about that until now, and this is great. And like you said, you can talk for this forever, but you need to get going and everything. And I don't want to keep you waiting because shit, I kept you like over 20 minutes to pass the time. That is
Okay,
my
man.
fault.
No. It's totally fine. It's okay. I really enjoyed it. Hey, man, let's keep in touch, dude.
Oh, I would love to. Yes.
Yeah, and I'll be looking forward to that drawing.
Yes, and like if you're ever in the city or if I'm ever in Charlton.
Yeah, dude, drop me a line. Let me know.
Yeah, I'll hit up. We'll get a drink.
That sounds great, man. I know of a great brewery down here, so.
Ooh, excellent.
Yeah.
I'll drive Marcus with me too.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, no, I will.
Bring him down here.
No, I'm being serious. I will. But
good. Yeah, do it, man.
Yes, but it was great to talk to you, Brian. Have a great rest of the day.
Thanks, Zach. You too, man.
I will talk to you soon. Though, like I said, we'll keep in touch. I'm sorry.
Sounds good, man.
You finished. You say the last word.
No, I mean you did it. You did it. It's perfect. I mean, it's always like what we're doing right now is what I hear my kids do when they're like texting or like on the phone or something. You know what I mean? Where it's like, no, you say goodbye. You say goodbye. You say, you know what I mean?
I'll end with a joke I heard from Mel Brooks about this.
Okay, go for it.
He said this to Carl Reiner, his friend he was with forever. He used to have dinner together like every night. So Mel Brooks tells him, what's the difference between a Frenchman and a Jewish man? A Frenchman will get up and leave without saying goodbye. A Jewish man will say goodbye but never leaves.
I love that. That's great. That's great. Oh man.
I love it.
All right. Well, on that note,
yeah.
Zach, it's been a pleasure, man.
Likewise.
Until next time.
Till
Take
next
care.
time. You too.